Look, the Bears season hasn't gone the way I think anybody wanted it to, especially on offense, where at times the play has been downright ugly. But the good news is that short drives mean I was able to fit 2 drive breakdowns into one dissecting a drive video. So if you'll ride with me, we'll talk about the good, there is some good, and the bad from everybody on this offense. The system, the quarterback, the wide receivers, the offensive line, everybody in this offense as we go ahead and dive in. So the first play comes right after the Bears get a surprise stop on Kansas City, so this drive is pretty big, and I want to write a word on the screen, and I want you to think about it as you watch this video. That word is structure. I want you to watch how Fields plays within structure. I want you to watch the structure of the offense in general, and just ask yourself whether it's as healthy as maybe you want it to be. So the Chiefs are going to line up in a relatively normal shell. You got 2 high back here. The Chiefs really like to play up close to the line and force you to take them vertical, because not only do they trust their pass rushers, but they're an aggressive defensive front. But so Fields and the offense are going to see this, and they're going to check to a play that I really like. Pretty West Coast staple play. It's just double slants. And when you run it from this tight a split, because sometimes you're going to have DJ Moore way out here, instead you're going to get a short slant by Darnell Mooney and a slightly deeper slant by DJ Moore. The whole point is that if Darnell Mooney gets covered up, then DJ Moore gets open. And after the snap, based on what we see, because that's Fields checking to make sure that they got the signal, well, DJ Moore is open, but we're not looking at him anymore. I'm not in the coaching room, if you can't tell. I am not in the Bears coaching room, but Fields is looking at DJ Moore and Darnell Mooney. He seems to see that 50 is getting taken by Mooney, and for some reason, despite this being open even at near half speed, we're just not going to throw it. And you got to throw it there. Like we look at DJ Moore, you got to throw it there if you're going to throw it. Instead, we feel pressure, and hey, give credit to Fields. We make a nice play. This is a better play. How many yards is DJ Moore going to get? Is he going to get 14? Probably not, right? But this would have been a play that Justin Fields could have made in structure. You could argue it's a little more replicable than the play that he makes to Chase Claypool, where after this, you don't see Fields get out of the pocket. And that's by design, because this is one of the only rushes where you see the Chiefs allow this kind of, let's just call it a crash rush, but that's not a great term for it. Basically, for the rest of the game, the Chiefs play some element of contain, where they're not going to allow their rusher to just give up the edge like this and let Justin Fields get out into space. The Chiefs see this and they adjust. The Bears offense is low-key moving, or at least they get one of the healthier read option plays that they've had just about all season. They're going to pull Darnell Mooney across the formation in what's called an orbit motion, meaning he goes behind the quarterback, and then they're going to have Khalil Herbert obscure a read option handoff where the front does a good job and the Bears are able to pick up a nice 6 or 7 yards. You can see right here that the whole point of Herbert's motion is to obscure and create eye candy for these defensive linebackers so that it's just a little less obvious who actually has the football, and that makes them just a smidge slow to Roschon, who's able to plow up the field for a really nice gain. Take a look at the front up here. It's a nice inside zone play where Wright and Carter do a nice job on their double team. Whitehair and Patrick handle their double team, and then Justin Fields freezes the defensive end. This is the stuff we spent all offseason talking about. If you're a Bears fan, this is what you got excited about, that they would use Justin Fields' legs as a threat and freeze up defenders for a healthier Bears running game, which sets up 2nd and 5, a relatively healthy down and distance, but this is where the problems really start to surface for Chicago, as Darnell Mooney is going to come across the formation on what ends up being a duo run up the middle of the field, and Kansas City is absolutely ready for it, holding the Bears to just 1 yard. But what happened on the back end? Well, duo traditionally calls for a series of double teams up front, and if possible, somebody will work up to the play side linebacker, but it's not even necessary on a short yardage play like this. But Kansas City has so many guys on the line of scrimmage, this is a tough look for a play like duo, and in particular, I want you to watch Chase Claypool and Darnell Mooney. They've got 2 guys that they need to block over here, but when we actually look at the snap, how many of them get blocked? I mean, this is pretty easy stuff. 1 of them. And it's the guy that Chase Claypool is standing in front of that goes and makes the play. And before you just jump and blanket blame this on Claypool, it's hard to tell because all kinds of playbooks will have the wide tight end assist the offensive tackle in his double team, but Chase Claypool's stance with his left foot forward is going to make a block like this incredibly difficult. It looks like Claypool taps him to try to get him out of the way, but with Marcedes Lewis vacating that area, obviously it's not enough, and he's able to go make the play. It feels like somebody, maybe it's Mooney, who would have come across the field in motion, should have inserted right here, or maybe the Bears should have just checked out of the play, because you can do that. You don't have to run this play if you don't like the front you're up against. And I'm not 100% sure why the Bears at some points basically slammed their head against a wall, because when you look at this front, look at all the guys lined up wide across the line of scrimmage. It's going to make hitting the double teams quite difficult, whereas there's all kinds of, say, passing space or even wide rushing space to work with if you wanted to access it. I'm not 100% sure why the Bears stuck with the play that they did, but that seems like a habit inside this Bears defense, and unfortunately, it sets them back at 3rd and 4. And maybe you already know this, but 3rd and 4 becomes the final play of the Bears' drive. They're going to pull DJ Moore in motion across the formation like you're seeing right now. Going to end up with a nice little trips look. And as that defensive back follows DJ Moore, we know we're getting man, which would help if anybody won their one-on-one. We get a slot fade, we get an in route, and it looks like we get an out route. Maybe it's some kind of option route, but either way, absolutely nobody wins. And look, I would tell you if I thought that Justin Fields did nearly anything wrong here, but Ja'Tyre Carter gets long-armed pretty much immediately, and moreover, like, if we need to throw right here, what are we throwing to? Are we throwing to Darnell Mooney? Do we want Fields to not look at DJ Moore anymore? Because he's definitely not open, and by the time he turns around, I mean, you just can't throw that ball. You can't throw that ball at all. And you take a look behind center, and I mean, this is about as clear an L as somebody can take. I thought Carter played an okay game overall, but what a first impression, as he's not able to establish his arms at all and ends up inverse pancaked. And Justin Fields, sure, he's able to get upfield and get about a yard back, but ultimately it's a failed 3rd down all the same. Working back to the routes for a moment, I want to point out good coaching where we see it, because in Chicago we're seeing so much bad coaching. Watch all 3 of these man defensive backs and the way that they play their leverage. All 3 of them know exactly who they're taking, and they just square up their receivers and take the routes away. You could see Claypool's defender has inside leverage, and does he allow a route inside? Well, no. He takes it quite easily away. We see Mooney's defender walking down the field with him, and obviously 35 hip checks DJ Moore and takes his route away as well. This Chiefs Steve Spagnuolo defense is really well coached, and it leaves nearly nowhere to go, and that's not just some quarterbacking issue. This is a systemic issue from the Bears offense, and it goes all the way down to the offensive coaching, the details involved, and everything else. And we're not just taking one drive to say that, because like I told you, we're going through 2. So as we get started with the first play of the second drive, where the Bears are going to look to establish the run with a nice little plow up the middle by Khalil Herbert. Now, do I love the fact that the Bears are running into an 8-man box, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-man box, using only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 blockers? That's a discussion for another day. But Khalil Herbert and the play design are ultimately able to make it work. We'll take a look at this from behind center, where you're going to see that it's a nice little double pull by the tackle and the center, which gives Ja'Tyre Carter and Cody Whitehair plus Darnell Wright a little bit extra leverage of plowing open the middle of the defense. So you'll see all this motion up front. You get this double team where this defensive tackle's not expecting 2 guys to come directly from his right, and Marcedes Lewis does an especially good job of getting in front of his defender. I'll rewind it right here so you can see just how hard a block he's asked to make right here, getting in front of number 54, but he's able to do it, by goodness, and Khalil Herbert breaks a tackle in the middle of the tackle box and falls forward for another probably 4 yards after contact. Sets up 2nd and 3, great down and distance for us. And the second play of this drive, and the Bears are going to take a play action shot downfield here, and they should. They're going to get DJ Moore on a corner route, they're going to get Chase Claypool on a dig route just behind him, and then Khalil Herbert coming into the flat right here as a check down option. Problem is, take a look at DJ Moore. He does not win this route. And look, DJ Moore is one of my favorite players on the Bears. He's dynamic, but let's call it like this is. DJ Moore, once he turns this corner, just kind of stops running his route. And the ball ends up floating over his head. Could it have been open? Should it have been open? I'll leave you to decide. But I'll tell you that an awful lot of offenses, when you're going to commit this many resources to pass protection, because remember, you can get up to 5 receivers on pretty much any play, obviously because there's 5 offensive linemen and 1 quarterback. The Bears are going to only use 3. They're going to commit Kari Blasingame and Mercedes Lewis to pass protection here. It's part of why the pocket is so pretty, as Fields has tons and tons of room to throw. But when you've got this much space, when you're creating this big of a, let's call it area of effect for your wide receiver 1, usually you'll give him some side adjustment options. It's what made Davante Adams so dangerous in Green Bay for forever, where if you don't think you can beat this guy over the top, if you don't think you're going to stack him, you could break inside and create an out route here in some form or fashion so that your quarterback has a place to put the ball. This is not good. It's absolutely not a Justin Fields problem, because while Justin Fields is struggling right now to throw over the middle of the football field, we're not going to win if we can't win with our wide receiver 1. And we were able to do that over the last 2 weeks, but on this particular play, it does not work out. Now, from a play design perspective, look at the Kansas City Chiefs. They do a great job swallowing up the backside dig. So there is no other read option. Open. We get read number 1. We need to throw read number 1. Fields does his job, but we want better out of our wide receiver 1 in this case, especially just because of an effort question, which I hate asking. I'm a guy on the internet, but getting caught slowing down on a route that your quarterback actually throws is not a good moment for anybody on the offense. It brings up 3rd and 3. And on this 3rd and 3, the Bears are able to pick up the first down because they catch Kansas City in one of the first instances in this game where not only is their front not wide, but they don't have extra guys lined up on the line of scrimmage the way that they have been. In fact, they've got 2 linebackers in, let's call them your standard gaps. So Justin Fields is able to signal right here and get the Bears into what sure looks to me like it's inside zone to the left, and Khalil Herbert cuts back up the field after they tag a read option on it that's able to freeze this backside and man on the line of scrimmage. When you take a look at the way this rolls, sure, the Bears may have intended originally for it to get blocked up this way, or maybe they teach it with a little bit of counter action, but they're able to freeze this defender with Cole Kmet coming across the formation as a potential arc blocker for Justin Fields if he keeps the rock. But Khalil Herbert, being who he is, cuts straight up the field, beats another arm tackle, and makes a nice little play in space. The Bears are moving. We love this. On to play number 4. So it's 1st and 10 on play number 4, and to be completely honest with you, this is where I wonder if Luke Getsy is leaving tells on his film, because the Bears are going to motion Darnell Mooney in. They're going to check to something. You see everybody touch their helmet right there. The Chiefs start waving their arms. They make some kind of adjustment as Darnell Mooney motions from inside back to the outside. And man, just watch these Kansas City DBs that I believe are just playing match-like quarters. Looks like basic quarters, but watch them just eat up Darnell Mooney's corner route and DJ Moore's in-breaking dig route right here, and there is nowhere for Fields to go with this football. It's basically a 2-man combination, but boy oh boy do they end up bracketing the Bears pretty much perfectly. Now, good thing is, Justin Fields, being the athlete he is able to get out in space, break the contain, and pick up a really nice scramble with his legs. This is what he does. I mean, if you're going to tip the cap to Justin Fields in any fashion at all right now, he's still one of the most electric athletes from the quarterback position with the ball in his hand, and the offensive line does a really good job. I'll rewind it one more time so you can take a look at not just Mercedes Lewis going crazy here on the end. Watch this against a legitimate defensive end too, where Lewis goes one-on-one and shows that, yeah, tight ends can block if they want to. He's able to establish his hands and keep great control. Darnell Wright, if you rewind the video, did a great job on this snap, and everybody else gets a double team, and Fields is able to get out into open space and pick up a big first down for Chicago in the absence of any wide receiver separation. Moves us on to play number 5, where this is the first time I'll say in this video, and it's not the only time I'll say, that Chris Jones just blows this up. It's a nice little design by the Bears. They're going to run what I'm pretty sure is GT counter read, but when you take a look back at what's going on, so this is basically what normally would be GT counter, but instead, because there's a backside 3-tech, you're going to have the center pull so that this 3-tech can try to take Chris Jones out of the play. But Chris Jones is going to get straight upfield, and what would have been a nice little read option potentially becomes a major moment of defensive penetration, and there's no way that Justin Fields can hand this or can keep this ball. He has to hand it off, and from there, there's just too many bodies. Kansas City does a really good job defending this one, and Khalil Herbert does a nice job himself keeping his legs turning, falling forward, and making what could have been a shorter gain into at least a 3-yard gain. You get something on this run play, but defensive superstars make their marks on games all the time. You move on to play number 6 within this drive, a 2nd and 7, where, man, if there is any example of a play that I want the Bears to check out of, it's this one. So the Bears are going to run what I'm pretty sure is duo once again up the middle, but after we see the result of this play, I want to just back it up really fast, because boy howdy, take a look at this formation from Kansas City and tell me that with Kansas City so wide and so tight to the line of scrimmage, a check to toss crack where, say, Mercedes Lewis gets out and clears him, Cole Kmet bites down on the defensive end, Chase Claypool kicks out this end man at line of the scrimmage, and then Darnell Wright gets open space to take out this man, wouldn't get Khalil Herbert with one of these Miami style gains that I'll just go ahead and show you right now. These kinds of plays are awesome against tight looks just like this, and there's something the Bears have had a lot of success with, and they even ran in this preseason. They ran it a ton in 2022. Instead, the Bears are going to run exactly the duo play that you saw we already did, and they end up with nowhere to go because there's just too many bodies that Kansas City has on the defensive line. This feels like a near suicide run look. I mean, you're asking all kinds of guys to make some pretty insane blocks. In particular, look, we ragged on Chase Claypool a little earlier. Look at the block that Chase Claypool is being asked to make against number 20 here. You would have to be the Flash to get to your spot to take away 20's blocking angle, unless you're going to do exactly what he just did, but that leads you straight into the unblocked safety on the backside, number 22, and this run was just never really going to go anywhere. Massive kudos, because I like it, watching Mercedes Lewis basically WWE chokeslam his man right here, as he's able to just drive him into the ground, but all the same, it sets up 3rd and 6 for the Bears, which we're never happy about. And unfortunately, play number 7 is also the final play of this second Bears drive, as the Bears are just going to run dagger. They're going to have Chase Claypool go up the field. Mooney is the primary target here. I'll call him 1. You're not even really looking for Chase Claypool on a play like this. Moreover, if you already know how this play resolves, the big issue is that you have Chris Jones lined up against Darnell Wright. I mean, I like Larry Borum too. I'm glad that we're chipping for him. But the fact that we can't put Khalil Herbert on this side of the formation to chip, if we're going to have him help out in pass protection, or have Cole Kmet on this side to help out Darnell Wright against the Chiefs' defensive superstar, feels like you're asking for trouble, and trouble is exactly what the Bears get. There's also, from an offensive structure position, some serious issues, because Darnell Mooney's route takes way too long to resolve. Check this out. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. Finally, we are barely open against Trent McDuffie, who does a great job, and at this point, Justin Fields is going down. I mean, I timed this. Justin Fields gets 3 seconds from the snap. Darnell Mooney doesn't start moving until Fields catches the snap. Despite nearly every other receiver getting moving at that point, it's just the details in this offense take forever. Nobody is helping anybody else. The offense doesn't feel like it has answers for what the defense is throwing at it, and it ended up making a Steve Spagnuolo Chiefs defense that is really good this year look incredible. Chances are you watched this film with me and you saw what looked like the clear-cut better team, but there are plenty of offenses. Just take a look at Arizona and what's going on in Houston that aren't having this issue, and they're able to put their guys in advantageous situations. Instead, the Bears are at best asking their guys to win neutral matchups, and sometimes they're asking them to win nearly impossible matchups, and boy, I'm frustrated. Is the quarterback playing well? No, he's not. Is anybody playing well? Not really. And to me, that's an indictment on coaching, even though it's not some kind of excuse for poor player performance. It's rough out there for Chicago right now, and hopefully it gets better, but if it doesn't, well, at least maybe we have this to look forward to. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, share it with your friends. Let me know what you did and didn't like about this kind of format as we try to figure out how we're going to cover a Bears team that is very quickly dissolving into complete irrelevancy throughout the 2023 season. But until next time, Bears fans, bear down, and thank you so much for bearing with me.